What really goes on inside a child's mind when they are caught in the middle of a messy separation? It's a question many of us might wonder about, but the answers are often hidden behind a wall of silence. Today, we're going to talk about something incredibly important but rarely discussed: the secret pain of children who are pushed to reject one of their parents. This isn't just about custody battles, it's about the deep emotional wounds that can last a lifetime. So if you're a parent, a family member, or just someone who cares about the well-being of children, stick around. What we're about to uncover might change the way you see family conflict forever. Let us start with the first and perhaps most heartbreaking secret. Children secretly miss the parent they're being pushed away from. Imagine a little boy or girl who loves both their mom and their dad. Suddenly, they're in a situation where expressing love for one parent feels like a betrayal of the other. They feel a deep, aching longing for the parent they no longer see or speak to, but they're terrified to show it. They've learned, either through direct comments or subtle cues, that saying, "I miss Dad," or "I wish I could see Mom," might make the parent they live with angry, sad, or even feel betrayed. This fear is powerful. It forces them to bottle up their true feelings, to put on a brave face and pretend they're okay with the situation. On the outside, they might seem to agree with the negative things being said about the other parent, but inside, they're caught in a painful conflict. It's a battle between the love they naturally feel and the loyalty they're being pressured to show. This isn't just a fleeting sadness, it's a constant, gut-wrenching turmoil that creates a divide within their own heart. They're forced to hide a huge part of themselves, and that's an incredibly heavy burden for any child to carry. This leads us directly to the second secret. They're scared to be honest about their feelings. Most children are incredibly perceptive. They can sense tension, and their natural instinct is to try and keep the peace. In a high-conflict separation, a child quickly learns that their emotional honesty can be a trigger for more arguments, or for their parents' distress. To avoid rocking the boat, they become little actors, masking their sadness, confusion, and longing. They might say, "I'm fine," when they're falling apart inside. They might even parrot negative things about the alienated parent, not because they believe them, but because it's what they think the parent they're with wants to hear. This constant performance is exhausting. Imagine having to monitor every word you say, every emotion you show, just to maintain a fragile sense of stability at home. They fear losing the approval of the parent they depend on. They worry they'll be seen as disloyal or ungrateful if they express any positive feelings for the other parent. So, they build a wall around their true emotions. This emotional suppression isn't a healthy coping mechanism. Over time, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and a deep sense of isolation. They feel like no one truly understands what they're going through, because they've been taught that it's not safe to tell anyone the truth. Now, let's talk about the third secret, which is a bit more complex. Children notice inconsistencies, but they are terrified to question them. Kids aren't just passive observers. They are constantly trying to make sense of their world. When one parent consistently paints the other in a negative light, children listen. But often the stories they're told don't quite match their own memories or experiences. They might remember the bad parent as being kind, fun, or loving. They might hear a story that just doesn't add up. A small voice inside them says, "Wait, that doesn't sound right." But questioning it feels incredibly dangerous. Asking, "Are you sure that's what happened?" Or, "But I remember Dad being nice to me," could be met with anger, dismissal, or more accusations. They learn very quickly that challenging the narrative is not allowed. This creates a profound internal confusion. They start to doubt their own perceptions, their own memories. They think, "If Mom says Dad is a terrible person, but I remember him being good, does that mean my memory is wrong? Is there something wrong with me for thinking he was good?" This can lead to feelings of shame and self-blame, and it erodes their ability to trust their own judgment, a skill that is crucial for healthy development. This internal conflict brings us to the fourth devastating secret. Parental alienation feels like losing a part of themselves. Our identity is deeply intertwined with our roots. We get our hair color, our sense of humor, our temperament from both sides of our family. A child's sense of self is built on the foundation of, I am half my mother and half my father. When one parent is systematically erased from their life and vilified, the child is essentially told that half of who they are is bad, flawed, or unlovable. This is profoundly damaging to their self-esteem. They might look in the mirror and see the eyes of the parent they are not supposed to love and feel a sense of shame. For teenagers, who are already going through the turbulent process of figuring out who they are, this can be catastrophic. They might struggle with confidence, with forming a stable sense of identity, and with understanding their place in the world. It feels as though a fundamental part of their being has been amputated. They are left feeling incomplete, with a gaping hole where a parent's love and connection should be. This isn't just about missing a person. It's about missing a piece of their own soul. This leads to the fifth secret, which is the immense pressure they feel. They do not want to choose sides. Deep down, almost every child wants the freedom to love both of their parents. Being forced to pick a side, whether it's done explicitly through demands or subtly through emotional manipulation, creates an impossible dilemma. It's a loyalty conflict of the highest order. Imagine being asked to choose which of your arms you want to keep. It's an unthinkable choice. And yet, this is the psychological equivalent of what these children are put through. They are trapped. If they show affection for one parent, they risk punishment or emotional withdrawal from the other. This constant fear and guilt can shape their entire worldview. They learn that love is conditional, that relationships are transactional, and that loyalty is a weapon. The damage from this loyalty bind can extend far beyond their childhood. As they grow up and try to form their own romantic relationships, they may struggle with trust, fear of abandonment, and difficulty with intimacy. They've been trained in a dysfunctional model of love, and it can take years of conscious effort to unlearn those painful lessons. Finally, we arrive at the sixth point, which holds a glimmer of hope. As they grow, they will seek the truth. As children mature into teenagers and young adults, they gain more independence and critical thinking skills. The questions they were too afraid to ask as kids begin to surface again, but this time with more force. They start to wonder, what really happened between my parents? Was the story I was told the whole truth? This quest for truth is a natural and healthy part of their journey toward healing. They might start researching online, talking to other family members who are on the sidelines, or even reaching out to the alienated parent directly. This process can be incredibly painful. It often brings up a tidal wave of emotions: anger at the parent who manipulated them, grief for the lost years of relationship, and regret for their own role in the alienation, even though they were just children. But as difficult as it is, this pursuit of truth is also what opens the door to healing. It's the first step toward reclaiming their own narrative and rebuilding a sense of wholeness. For this to happen, they need emotional safety. They need to know that they can explore these complex feelings without judgment, and that honest communication is possible. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? The message is simple, but powerful. We, as adults, must recognize the profound emotional pain that children experience in these situations. We need to stop seeing children as extensions of ourselves or as tools to be used in adult conflicts. They are separate human beings with their own feelings, their own needs, and their own right to a relationship with both of their parents. They need a safe space to express their true feelings without fear of punishment or disapproval. They need to be allowed to miss their other parent. They need to be allowed to love both parents freely. If we truly want to protect our children during a separation, the most important thing we can do is rise above our own anger and hurt, and prioritize their emotional well-being. They are longing for connection, not conflict. They are longing for love, not loyalty tests. Let's be the adults who give them that. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to understand this incredibly sensitive topic. If this video resonated with you, please consider giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with someone who might need to hear this message. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that dives deep into the things that matter. See you in the next one.